Hi, this is Ken once again. Welcome to Prayer Line. Today is the day the Lord has made. We'll rejoice and be glad in it. Today, I just want to talk to you about the fact that very soon I believe that truth or privacy and freedom is going to be really attacked. It has started by very soon the government of the world will systematically be taking away people's privacy, people's freedom, and also there will be a great attack on truth. Anybody who is standing for truth and speaking truth, such individuals will be taken out. And also mediums through which truth are being broadcast, they will come against such mediums. Truth, it could be Facebook, YouTube, or whatever medium people are getting truth out, they will shut it down. I believe that the only reason why people like us are blessed with the opportunity of using mediums like YouTube to broadcast the gospel to reach the masses is the fact that we are fulfilling prophecies. The word of God says that Jesus Christ is never going to return until the gospel reach every corner of this world. And I believe that this couldn't have done if evangelists or preachers were moving from one country to another country, going to villages and going to different countries doing this. But through Facebook, the radio, YouTube, the television, the gospel can now reach millions of people. And I believe that that is the only reason why mediums such as YouTube came, for people to get the gospel across. But very soon, as the gospel reaches all the corners of the world, very soon they will shut down these mediums of truth and propaganda. This same medium will now be used for propaganda, because anybody who is standing for truth, they will shut down such mediums because they will not want to let people hear the truth anymore. Especially as we are getting closer and closer to the new world order. The platform is already being staged or put in place. Very soon, the man of peace will be showing up. Ask yourself, are you ready for this change? Today, people's privacy and people's freedom are being systematically taken away. And the government will tell you, oh, because of terrorism, we are trying to protect you, the civilians. That's why we are doing these things. But now they are just taking away your freedom and your privacy and everything that the Constitution stands for. They are systematically destroying it. That is why I told you that very soon Americans will miss Ron Paul, and they will wish they had listened to Ron Paul or even voted for him. Very soon Americans will look back on this day and say 2012, we should have listened to Ron Paul. We should have listened to him. I'm not saying this because I'm a Republican. I'm a political atheist. I don't believe in politicians or Republicans or Democrats. I don't believe in politics. But I foresee that in some months to come, some years to come, if Jesus does not return before that, people will regret for the day they did not listen to Ron Paul. Not because I'm for Ron Paul. I don't trust Ron Paul or anything, but I believe that if there is anybody who is speaking truth which will sustain the nation years to come, it is that guy, Ron Paul. Talking about the Constitution, talking about people's privacy, talking about not just getting or no going to wars and no bloodshed and all those. Ron Paul. Americans will one day regret, but I know definitely he's not going to win it. Obama, I believe, is going to win the next election. So what I'm telling you now is that wherever medium you are getting your truth from, this is what I'm going to tell you, because very soon, through YouTube, Facebook, everywhere truth is being released, whether the gospel or people who are making you to know the truth, they are going to shut down all these mediums. They are going to shut down all these mediums. And it will be left with propaganda, what they want the masses to hear and listen, and they will use it in order to deceive the masses. So this is what I'm telling you. Whatever medium you are getting truth, whether the gospel or getting the real fact of what is really going down, if you have to pay and download those materials, do it now. If you have to ask for permission for them to give you access to those information, download it, do so now. Whatever it is, whatever truth you've been hearing, start saving such information, because very soon your access to these truths will be shut down. Ask permission, and if you have to buy it and store it, so that if those medium or those people who are releasing truth to you are shut down, you have access personally to this information. Very soon, in a few weeks, in a few months, in a few years to come. That's if Jesus is to tarry and not come very soon, very, very, very soon, then you have access. Supposing today the internet system shuts down, ask yourself, where are you going to be getting these truths? Have you saved some? Have you asked permission to download? Have you bought this information from them? Where would you get this information? Or you are just going to be listening to the propaganda? Have a way of getting access to some of these truths and save them, because very soon they are going to shut down everyone speaking the truth, and you'll be left with only propaganda. The world is coming to an end, and the new world order is coming very soon. And if you've been listening to those who have been enlightening you about the truth, then I tell you, take note and be enlightened. You can't be dependent. You have to learn to know truth by now, because very soon they're going to shut down the truth, and only propaganda will be coming through. This is a wake-up call. We are in the end times. Very soon, you will not get access to this truth anymore. That's why watchers and doom preppers are always warning you, get yourself ready. Supposing there's a shutdown of the internet or shutdown to people who are speaking the truth, what will you do? How would you still get access to raw facts, real information? By now you should be informed and enlightened, because they are coming to shut anyone speaking the truth very, very soon. Stay blessed.
SOPA, PIPA, and now CISPA. Now, I'm not speaking gibberish here. If you're having a hard time keeping tabs on the latest cyber acronyms, let me simplify the issue at hand for you. These are essentially legislative efforts in the name of cybersecurity or copyright infringement, whatever may be the case, that have the potential to do one very frightening thing: to destroy freedom and privacy as you know it. Now, the latest iteration of your worst privacy nightmare is the Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act of 2011, CISPA for short. Now, the bill would effectively allow U.S. companies to spy on your emails, social networking posts, and essentially all online activities, and to pass that information along voluntarily to the U.S. government. Now, that is if something you write, Google, or post is deemed to be, quote, a cybersecurity threat information. So what is a cybersecurity threat? I mean, is it an online plot to take down the Pentagon? Is it downloading Rihanna's latest album from Pirate Bay? What about encrypting your emails or using a service that lets you browse anonymously? Or what about posting your political views on Facebook, sending an email to a friend? The answer is, and the problem is, that we don't know. The legislation is written so broadly that almost any online activity could be deemed a threat. And that has the potential to hurt whistleblowers, destroy journalism, silence free speech, not to mention erode the basic premises of democracy. Now, the legislation is coming up for a vote in the House next Monday, but should you care? Well, let's turn to someone who's been covering this issue very closely. Journalist Dave Seaman is with me from Miami. Welcome back to the program, Dave. Now, to be fair, there are countless scary-sounding bills that frequently float around Congress that hardly stand a chance of becoming law. Why should we care about this one?
Well, for one reason, you should care because it stands a very good chance of becoming law. It has more than 100 co-sponsors in Congress, and unlike SOPA, which had huge online outrage from the public and tech companies alike, this one actually has the support of key tech companies. With SOPA, which failed, There was a petition that was linked from the homepage of Google, and major web properties, including Reddit and Wikipedia, went dark to protest it. They're probably not going to do that this time around. CISPA is a very real threat, and at this point, it very well could become law within a very short period of time. And the White House has expressed concerns, but don't let that reassure you too much, because they also expressed concerns about NDAA, and then Obama signed it into law on New Year's Eve. And they've expressed concerns about other bills that have then become law.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned the White House issue, because there's been a lot of articles sort of saying, well, the White House has come out against this, but I mean, if an NSA flak is their equivalent of the big guns to oppose legislation, I don't really think that we can sleep soundly. But let's focus on this issue of sort of activists gathering behind or against or in favor of CISPA. Why is it that Facebook, for example, Google, why have these companies not come out against this? What's in it for them in this legislation?
Well, I think whenever you're gathering data, that's a potential business model. I think it's a sleazy business model, but you can sell that to the government and make money off of it. So it's a revenue stream. And furthermore, I think these big tech companies love the litigation immunity that the government or other agencies or even companies, a private security company, can seize your information under CISPA. And we're talking about very private information, the websites you visit, the searches you make. If you're doing research on a personal medical condition, if you're sending private emails to your spouse, your girlfriend, or anybody else, these are emails that could be seen by a number of people. And that litigation immunity protects these companies from being sued. So I think they like that aspect also. I think internet users, individuals, hate this for the same reason. There's really no recourse if your information is abused. I'd argue that this is a bill that is designed for abuse. That litigation immunity is completely absurd.
So Congress, you're saying that Congress is intentionally trying to screw over American freedoms of speech, privacy, and information?
It's been a legislative twilight zone really since NDAA was signed into law. We saw that, and then we saw a bill that literally criminalizes certain forms of peaceful protests. That was signed into law. And then we saw SOPA, which was breathtaking in its scope and in its audacity and in the extent that it goes against everything America stands for. And that only failed, not really because of public opposition. I think it failed because big tech companies were against it. This time around, the tech companies don't have our backs. So it's up to the American people to speak out. And from people that I've spoken to online, it really sounds like when you contact your member of Congress and you say, I don't want CISPA. This is not something we asked for. This is not something that's good for the internet. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for our privacy, obviously. When you contact these members of Congress, their response is something that approaches detached amusement. They don't really care what you think at this point. So it's definitely, it freaks a lot of people out, and with good reason.
Well, they might not care what the average Joe thinks, but I guess money talks, and we do also have the addition of this horde, essentially, of defense contractor lobbyists on the Hill pushing for this legislation. Talk a little bit about that.
That's exactly right. This is not a bill that the American people asked for. They didn't say, hey, government, we need more regulation over the internet. The internet works pretty well. This is something that was pushed by for-profit spying companies, and it was pushed by a handful of tech companies, and it's totally counter to what would be in the best interests of the American people in nearly every possible way. And we've seen this time and time again where Congress, our supposedly elected officials, are no longer representing our needs. They could be focusing on a number of issues that would help the average person far more. What about increasing, transparency and liquidity in financial markets? What about bringing people back to work? Any of these things would be a better use of their time than these crazy spying bills that make us look like a joke on the world stage, that we're attacking the internet, one of the areas where America excels and innovates. Why are we trying to destroy this? It makes zero sense.
Essentially shooting ourselves in the foot. I think that's a good point you make there. But really briefly, for those who aren't necessarily tech savvy, the average American would say, well, I'm not going to send out terror-sounding emails. I'm not going to Google for, terror threat information. I'm not planning cyber attacks. Should average Americans who don't do bad things care about this bill?
You really have to ask yourself, even if you're not a terrorist or whatever. And by the way, SOPA, they used, we're stopping online piracy as the red herring. This time around, they've pretty much doubled down. They're saying now we're using this to stop cyber terrorists, whatever the hell that is. So for the average person, you have to ask yourself, do you want strangers that you know nothing about, people in local police departments, people at privately run security companies, do you want them to be pouring through years of your emails, every single Google search you make late at night? I'm not even going to go there, but do you want all these private things being in the hands of strangers and them having absolutely no accountability?
No.
If they turn around and use that information in the worst way possible, you can then, you can't even get a lawyer and sue them because they have litigation immunity. It's scary.
It is certainly scary, and if you do want to figure out a way to get in touch with your congressman, I know the Electronic Freedom Foundation and ACLU do have ways to go and do that. Thank you so much for clarifying us on the issue. David Seaman, journalist and the host of the DL Show.